Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through him. It's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC with the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is he gonna be able to find these shots true?
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an animal immediately comes back like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3, so back and forth.
Thank you for joining us here in this afternoon, and we have some Week 2 action to bring your way here. The battle of on-1 teams so far, 0-1 versus 0-1, but one team will be able to collect their first victory of the season to start things out here today. And thank you very much for joining us. I'm Hunter Tane, brought to you by Megalaz as well. And Megalaz, we talked about this before we got into things. Both teams 0-3 their first week out. Unfortunate, but one of these teams, thankfully, gonna be able to finally get a win on that chart.
Yeah, you know, week 2, you come at it with a fresh new approach. You got a fresh new patch as well to play with. So plenty of things to sort of just shake off that first week, maybe some jitters, maybe just you weren't fully ready for your opponent, whatever the case may be. But like you said, somebody's got to come away with that first win here. But I feel like these two teams, regardless of who comes away with it, they're definitely going to be able to show us some interesting looks, and they should be able to sort of compete well with each other.
I mean, yeah, 100%. We're not fully sure of what the style of both these teams are. Obviously, there's a bit of a meta that's kind of falling into shape right now that most teams are following, but it's something we're going to have to check out, obviously, between Team Vortex and Noodle Squad. But not going to be our only matchup today. We got coverage pretty much a lot of days. And later tonight, we have, let me get my glasses here for this one, Big Guitar Fan at 600 versus Fugum. Should be a great matchup. I'm sure our casters later tonight are going to be very excited to say those names for an hour and a half, but regardless, should be a lot of fun today.
Yeah, I feel like that second team name there, I feel like they entered the noise their microwave makes instead of, what actually should be their team name. But hey, listen, that's the great thing about CGL. You get some creativity going on with your teams, and hey, listen, it gives teams a better incentive to compete, right? You want to be able to make people say funny names in these tournaments and stuff like that when you're going for it at the end of everything. But we don't have to worry about the end of anything just yet because we are still early on. Like we said, this is week 2 here in the EU PC Open. In case you're also in NA right now, you're like, why are they talking about Overwatch at 2 o'clock? Guess what? Our EU brethren, they're ready to go. They're ready to queue it up and play some Overwatch.
Yeah, 100% here, and that's the fantastic thing about having different regions is there's always Overwatch going on, especially OWCS, actually Swiss stage literally going on as we speak. Unfortunately, no, I don't believe there's any official broadcast this weekend, but obviously, figure out more as things go along. But one thing we do know is the rosters for both these teams starting out here for today. Take a look at Team Vortex to start things out over here. We have Midnight and Aluzo over on the DPS, Liptic on the tank, and then I Love You and Nafi over on the support line. And again, you see that D.Va there, a character that has been very prevalent throughout the past month, especially in recent times. It's been pairing really well with that Juno in the brig, something that is very popular. And I think with that D.Va being shown on the screen, we might be able to see a little bit of that something that's going to come our way from Team Vortex.
Could be what they're planning exactly. As you said, it's been the meta as of late, but I'm sure Noodle Squad on the other side of things is ready to bring the heat to them, whether it's on the D.Va or maybe some more traditional picks. Here you have Eagle and Tiles on the DPS line. You have Tom rocking that tank role, and then Yoshiko and Tiger on that support line. Currently, showing off the Reinhardt profile picture, standard of EU, a staple. But yeah, Hunter, like you were saying, this D.Va meta that we've all kind of existed in, with Juno being a bug, quote unquote, that ended up getting a few days ago, it really sort of leaves a lot of things to sort of be questioned right now, right? A lot of teams are still defaulting to the D.Va just because they've been scrimming for a while, and it still feels kind of decent. But we're already 3 days into this patch. There's been some variation already, some teams trying to mix things up, and this could be sort of the breeding ground for creativity. Find something that works.
I mean, yeah, 100%, because obviously D.Va is not the be-all and end-all. Obviously, the Ramatra still has a lot of popularity as well. That has been kind of been the primary brawl tank for a lot of these teams, but that doesn't mean that the door is closed on everything. I mean, Zarya and Orisa have been, micro-buffed over the course of the last couple of months. They're not in the worst state possible. They are playable if need be, but I think unfortunately, with the way the situation is, and especially with this being an open tier, I think a lot of teams, like you said, are going to just default to that D.Va style and that Ramatra style in their own regard. But we might be able to get a taste of both to start out the series because we know where we're going to be starting. And as a matter of fact, we know where to be for the entire series. We're going to start out on Oasis. And I think the D.Va and the Ramatra have a lot of viability going into Oasis.
Yeah, I mean, looking across this whole map pool, really, I mean, you're going to either be able to get away with a dive or a brawl for pretty much everything, unless we end up on that map 5 for Havana. That's where more of those poke compositions might have to start rearing their heads. But like you said, for Oasis, right, this used to sort of be Winston's playground in terms of being able to play a lot of the high grounds across these points. But, D.Va, a lot of defense matrix, a lot of damage capabilities with the micro missiles, things like that. She's sort of overtaken, Winston's role in this sort of meta, but only time can tell what these teams really want to rock with. But I think Oasis will be a good indicator of just how comfortable these teams are across multiple compositions.
I mean, yeah, 100%. And in this situation, what I'm most looking forward to seeing is kind of the DPS squad, because that's where I feel like in this meta, there is the most viability for variation. I remember the other day, me and Fletcher on here, we saw a Pharah come out on Oasis and even King's Row. Didn't work out very great, but at the end of the day, it does state that teams do kind of have a little more open option when it comes to what they want to run in that DPS category. And to be honest, there's been quite a few DPS that have been in a really good state. I mean, Ash is still doing pretty well for herself. That Tracer Venture's still in a pretty great spot as well. So teams kind of have that viability of how they want to play. And based upon what they play will kind of define how aggressive or how pokey a team wants to play. Because with that Diva comp, you do have that option to be aggressive or be a little more passive instead.
I could not have said it better myself. If you're looking across the DPS category, I think, just like a large majority of Overwatch's timeline, it's a great time to be a DPS player because there are a lot of viable options, right? If you want to try to play defensive, you're worried about the other team running you down with Diva, you pick towards something like a Mei, a Symmetra, something to get that beam damage in through that defense matrix. But if you're not really worried about it, you're trying to go into the back line or try to even play with your Diva, right? You got Genji's, Ventures, a little bit of some Pharah action as well. All of those things can come through. One thing I will be interested to see is if either team locks Reaper. This is just a personal belief I'm holding that is yet to be founded true at all. But currently, right before Armor got Giga buffed, there was a bit of a Reaper buff in terms of reducing his spread, so he was dealing a lot of damage for about 2 days, and then Armor got Giga buffed, so everybody really forgot about it. But that buff never went away, and Armor's finally been reduced again, so maybe with these Brawl comps, maybe you're going to see a little bit more of the Reaper come into play to try to help shred some of these massive HP tanks.
Yeah, and with us starting out over here on University, I think this is the best shot for us to be able to say Reaper, so both teams, good potential to see that Ramatra here as well. One team opting for it, looking like they're running the Mei alongside it, which again, still has been a popular pick. Tom is sitting on the Reinhardt, and the fabled Reaper is sitting there alongside, but, I mean, I like both. I'm gonna be honest, I love both of these comps in general. Like, I'm so proud of you, Overwatch, for still trying to run the Reinhardt.
Well, Ryan is actually, he's in a very good place. Like, Ramatra is definitely still a counter pick to Ryan, but, that's why you have the Lucio and the Kiriko, right? That's going to just enable the Reinhardt to get in there, play a little bit more aggressive, whereas Team Vortex are going to have to play around this Juno speed ring whenever it ends up coming up. So it's a little bit more situational when Vortex is going to be able to move versus Noodle Squad, who can sort of just pick and choose their engagements as they please here, but starting out on the high ground is a good place to put this Sojourn.
Yeah, and the thing of the situation is that Noodle Squad is going to realistically want to be the more aggressive squad in this situation, bigly because they have that Reaper there with Eagle, so now the point's going to unlock. You'll see the initial pressure from Noodle Squad, and eventually Team Vortex is going to have to settle on dropping here shortly. Here they come with that wall, trying to get rid of somebody, but Ecliptic doesn't even last a second on the low ground. Lazo going to go out on the side, unfortunately going to get separated from the rest of the team. Barely in a state of being able to survive, but the rest of the team going to be forced to get out of there. And Vortex clearly had a plan to drop down, but Noodle Squad just quickly closed in on the open space.
Well, so the majority of Noodle Squad was ready to close in, like you said, but Eagle was actually lurking below the entire time on that Reaper. So the second that Ecliptic dropped down, there was not even a chance to look into that back doorway, not thinking somebody would be there, but those Hellfire shotguns did the damage, removed the tanks in the fight. And so now Vortex is going to have a very tough time pushing into this one.
And you see right now, Ardent Taz, though, going to go down. Ecliptic finally getting themselves a pick in the situation, and with them down in the situation, Tom has to do everything in their power to kind of back out and survive here. But eventually the 45 is going to take some precedence as they're going to bring it over to this point. But as things are, they're getting a lot of heals. They're going to be able to stabilize, but a retouch doesn't look like it's going to be in the cards.
Nope, Maywall just beautiful at that, zoning it out. That way there's not really a stall potential there. So now Noodle Squad wanting to engage in this next one, but the first ult online is going to be...
Oh, what? It does manage to find onto Nefe, and they will get taken care of. The freeze going to be online in this situation. He's going to catch on to Tom, but things are still pretty evened out right now. Eagle and Elisa both doing a lot for their team right now. Ecliptic needs to try to stay alive. Looks like they're going to be able to do so pretty effectively, but the heals are ready to go, and they manage to team together to get rid of them. Now Noodle Squad with an opportunity to take back the point, and with it just being I love you left, and just got to try to get out of there. The point will be taken back. I mean, great plays overall, but that was a hilarious shatter.
Hilarious shatter, but that's all Noodle Squad ended up expending in that fight. Meanwhile, they got the Vortex and the Annihilation out of Team or not Vortex, the May Blizzard out of Team Vortex here. So now Vortex is pushing into the short-handed Noodle Squad on their defense now. Can sort of just engage with the ult.
Yeah, beautiful wall. It's going to catch onto Elliptic. Nothing is going to save them in that sense. And right now, for the rest of Team Vortex, they're just going to get forced out of here. Everyone needs to try to stay alive because Final Fight's going to be online. And Noodle Squad still clinging on to 3 fantastic ultimates.
On the other side of things, though, I Love You has probably one of the best ults in the game in this orbital satellite, because just being able to heal your team passively while they play in it, as long as your team's grouped up in it, it's just going to be a great plus for Team Vortex. But there's a Blossom already!
Oh! It's already going to get through, and you can call the round right then and there. Not going to have time to our overtime judge. Eagle forcing the 4K and the Reaper coming out big here to start out this round. Noodle Squad, I mean, their ability to keep the tempo and keep the aggression is serving them brilliantly well and not giving Vortex an opportunity to really fully cement themselves in any of these fights.
Yeah, and again, it was Eagle catching them off guard, like you were saying, just being able to sort of be behind, be in places that you wouldn't expect on this Reaper. You know, Reaper's not something you think of when you think of flanker characters, right? It's just, you know, too loud, the shadow step makes too much noise, things of that nature. But finding it again and again is a problem. That being said, some switches are coming through here. Vortex now onto the D.Va, as well as having an Ana Brig backline makes them a little bit more stable, harder to run down. Meanwhile, Noodle Squad actually, okay, no, it was just a speed ring out of spawn. I was going to say the Lucio Juno, the double speed, it's a comp we haven't seen, and I think we're going to still have to keep that one in the playbook.
Yeah, it looks like, and of course, Elliptic on this D.Va is going to create a little bit different of a style. The same thing applies that Noodle Squad is going to want to play as the faster squad, but with Elliptic already going down, not going to retain the mech, now you don't really have any defenses here, so now Noodle Squad is free to eventually just go and run down this squad. And honestly, Team Vortex just needs to do everything they can to still poke away, try to take some angles, but I think they're just going to have to give up the point and wait for Elliptic to come back.
It's so crucial for Ecliptic to just sort of, already these picks are still going through.
Yeah, and they might end up losing another Gets. I Love You super low, but they are going to live for now, so we'll be able to take another reset. But again, they're just not giving them room to set up their pokes at all.
Well, yeah, also denying the space away from the Ana, not allowing these anti-nades to come through is so crucial, right? On top of that, it's one of the best ways to deter D.Va. Poke her out before she gets a chance to engage. There's no Juno in sight, so no speed to go through with this powerful mech. So it is really just the raw damage, and there's so much shielding to stop it.
Yep, wall going to get expended as well. Ecliptic still in a really bad area. Gonna get demeched again in this situation. Pulse Bomb is going to come out on top of that Midnight, not able to find anything. And a little drive-by onto Eliza. Gonna take care of them and just gonna have to force the reset. And now Noodle Squad just shutting this down. Vortex literally cannot get anywhere without Ecliptic losing that mech first.
Yeah, and it's, again, just the May being able to do damage through that defense matrix, but just that primary fire, the slowing freeze, and then also, again, once that defense matrix comes down, those Reaper shotguns are putting in the work they need to. Plenty of ultimates here for Noodle Squad to choose from. They just got to be careful about not over-investing in this fight.
I mean, yeah, 100% here in this situation. Shatter's going to come through. Basically a solo shatter onto Ecliptic. Going to take them out of the mech again here. But Aliso going in is going to manage to find one to even things out here. Noodle Squad want to bring the aggression, force them out of here. And it's going to be a great job of doing so. Aliso, though, has managed to get rid of 2. They need to try to find a 3rd in this situation. But more importantly, need to try to stay alive. And the wall might prevent them. But at the end of the day, they're just still getting picks. And it's 85% plus. A retouch is not going to be super simple.
It's not going to be simple, but it's also going to be tragic. Hyle's stuck out there. So now Noodle Squad will be short-handed for this fight, and they may have to even give up the point for it.
Yeah, because it's going to see 97. Overtime is going to go through thanks to the touch from Ecliptic. Right on Noodle Squad, lots of ultimates to work with right now. The biggest thing is you might just have to throw this nano onto Ecliptic and hope that you can drain down one of these supports in this backline, especially this Kiriko that could be a little exposed. The point is actually going to flip over essentially for free here as Midnight is hoping to hit a pulse, hoping to maybe just try to give them some space to work with. But I mean, for the time being, the aggression is going to come through. The freeze comes online. Ecliptic has to force out the bomb. You have to hope you find somebody, but unfortunately, time might be done here. Midnight finds you a Megalast. I mean, Midnight might be their last hope at this point.
Yeah, and Midnight is doing a lot right now. That Lucio is so incredibly low, able to take them out, but there's still Orion and a May here to deal with, and I don't think anybody's going to get through to touch. This ball is rolling as fast as they can, but Noodle Squad just takes the map.
Yeah, and that second round was not particularly close, unfortunately. It's one of those situations where, again, Noodle Squad, they clearly know how they want to set this up, but Team Vortex is literally, or the other way around, they're just not giving them the chance at all to set up, because it can be a great comp. But when things like this happen to you, I don't know what else you're supposed to do. How can you be ready for that kind of situation from Eagle?
Again, it's just sort of having to give the respect to Reaper, which, you know, that's not something an Overwatch player has had to do in a while, right? You sort of take Reaper as one of those, you know, meme characters that you think of, like a Bastion or a Junkrat even, where you don't put that level of respect onto them and their abilities. And so just being able to go in like that, lurk in the corners, that's just, you know, a lack of awareness, right? So Vortex, that's something that can be fixed, though, very quickly on the fly. Just sort of calling out to each other, hey, listen, we got to start checking our corners, make sure the Reaper's not lurking here. And it should be enabling Ecliptic to live a lot longer. It should be helping the backline feel a little bit safer. So maybe they can, you know, start looking for these opportunities to actually get into these fights.
I mean, yeah, 100%. And all things considered, I feel like at this point, obviously, the Ramatra was a nice try. And I think in that situation, unfortunately, they were playing something that was just getting outpaced. And I think eventually going into our next map, which will be King's Row, I think they want to go back to that Ramatra composition. I think they want to bring in the aggression, because they're not winning this poke battle right now against the aggression that Noodle Squad is bringing. So I really hope they come out with all cylinders firing with this Ramatra composition and just try to bring it fast and furious and at least try to even out the pace.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's going to be the path to victory here for Vortex. But, you know, on the other side of things, you know, Noodle Squad's more than happy to play on King's Row with this brawl style. I feel like it's going to end up being the tale of the maze here, actually, if we're getting into this actual brawl mirror that we're expecting, simply because it's going to be so crucial, right? Being able to wall off a target, whether it's the tank, whoever you're able to catch out with it, as well as, you know, May can surprisingly build these blizzards really quickly. So to be an unexpected gut punch, be able to throw those in at a very consistent rate for your team, it can help make all the difference. But currently on the defense, Team Vortex is not opting into the brawl at all. They do not like it.
Wow.
They're on to a poke style. So they're going to have the Zenyatta as well as the Juno, a very DPS heavy backline, but Zenyatta got some nice little tweaks. Those kill ranges did change, as well as applying that Discord to help the Ash damage and the Echo sort of register and clean up. Meanwhile, Noodle Squad on the other side of things, it is still the brawl for them. And I mean, hey, it's not broke, don't fix it, but they're going to have a very tough time trying to get through these chokes in a very safe manner against all of this poke damage.
Yeah, I think Noodle Squad is going to see this, and immediately they're going to focus on just doing the long rotation around, because they notice where everybody is at, what they are going to be on here in a couple of moments. You can already see them kind of forcing their way around here. Sigma is on the point alone, though. They're just going to try to run them down, but Tiger already ends up going down. Ecliptic going to be forced away. Eagle does manage to trade things out, though, and as things are, they're just keeping a pincer on this point and just hoping to get at least a tick, and then we get a little bit more than a tick right now as Tom is stabilized right now. Tiger eventually going to come back to be able to help them out. The pin not going to eventually find Ecliptic, who ends up going down, and again, I didn't dislike this idea at all, but unfortunately, they literally just forced the point, and now I don't even think a retouch is possible anymore.
Well, not only did they force the point, Eagle ended up teleporting to the high ground, and because the Echo was in the backline trying to find the picks on supports, they ultimately weren't able to sort of deter that Reaper from getting everybody on Vortex off of the high ground, off the position they wanted to play. Something as well to note is Noodle Squad actually did run out on the Lucio Juno here, which means that they have tons of speed initiative here. They're going to be playing at a lightning fast pace here, and it's the perfect counter to a poke composition. Don't give them time to set up, just get in their face off cooldown.
Yeah, and Ecliptic, again, just isn't going to even live. I didn't hate this experiment. It's already clearly not working. Tillaz has gotten already 2, hoping for a 3rd, but as things are going on, this cart is essentially pushing for free this entire time. Not going to see the escape there. Eagle planning another, and Noodle Squad already going to have 4 ults up on this fight, and Ecliptic already swapping around.
Yeah, having to make those swaps here because they've realized that they can't play the poke. They have to try to play faster, and it's ultimately going to come through. They built a Blossom by killing Eagle and then immediately wasted it. So now charging forward.
Yeah, but 45 situation does kind of leave the door open for Team Vortex to do something here. Unfortunately, not going to find anything. Midnight needs to focus on being able to stay alive here. Doing a good job of doing so as Yoshiko forced in a rough position. And this might be the first time when Noodle Squad might have to focus on backing out of the situation. But they're going to double down in this situation, getting rid of Midnight. The freeze is going to come online as well. They're just really hoping to find something. Eagle's going to double down here as well. Triple down, as a matter of fact. And the fight is still pretty 50-50. They're going to quadruple down in this situation. And they just want to end this right here and now and force the point. And now they're going to have 5.5 minutes. I mean, that is one heck of a dump to win that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a crazy overinvestment on paper, but not having to fight all the way at the end of point B here. This is a point where you can get stuck, lose a lot of time off your bank. I think Noodle Squad's more than happy to take it, even if it puts them at a disadvantage for these next fights. But Eagle still manages to keep finding their way into the backline and getting these crazy picks. Like, removing an Ashe from the fight as a Reaper, that's not something you should be able to do consistently or easily.
I mean, no, not at all. And you already see Eagle in a good position right now, able to kind of mess around with this backline, take a little bit of attention. I don't know if they fully realize it yet. Now they realize, Eagle's hanging around back there. But now you have some attention back there, but there's still a lot on the front that is taking time, and they're taking all this space like it is essentially nothing. The beat online ready to go here if they want to try to invest this right down. And with the Ecliptic down, this is the trigger to go all in. Bob gonna be thrown in over on the corner, gonna get rid of Tiger, and that beat Ajax. That is the CGL Ajax certified, and that's gonna basically end the fight right there. Noodle Squad just gonna be forced to get out, take the reset here. Eagle not gonna survive, and that is oof. That is not an all you wanted to lose.
I mean, yeah, no, if that beat goes off, there's a very real chance of Noodle Squad just capping right there with a massive time bank. But thankfully, the Bob was there to put in the rest of the damage to get that Lucio out of the fight. Vortex now have a good, solid chance to get some defensive fights going in their favor. They have this Annihilation as well as a Rally online here. Those two ultimates should be able to win them at least one team fight, and that should get them towards a Blizzard as well as another Juno Wall, but they don't even need them!
No, not at all. Already a quick cleanup for Team Vortex. Now they're trying to find a little bit of momentum. Gonna force the rest of them out there. Tom, unfortunately, not gonna find a way out. It's gonna take Navy out in that situation. And the thing is, Tom is also gonna live too, pretty scot-free.
Yeah, just going from health back to health back. So this Reinhardt will be able to continue in the fight. Has a Shatter online. We know how aggressive Tom wants to be. And again, with double speed, they can just sort of go as they please.
Yep, Shatter is ready, looking, and it's only going to catch onto one in the corner. Sun's going to come through, almost gets knocked off the edge there, nearly gets knocked off again. Not going to find anything on the pin. Both sides investing quite a few ultimates. At the end of the day, Vortex throwing for the pull that went in, but finally, they have cemented a super important fight win, and that 5-minute 30 has gone down pretty quickly.
Yeah, but now is when you start to worry of your Vortex. That was 4 ultimates into that fight, like you said. They have a Death Blossom that they have to worry about from Eagle, as well as, again, these orbital satellites. They're just so powerful from these Junos, being able to heal everybody. Oh, they don't realize.
They don't realize at all, and they see the backline, but it's ready to go. Eagle's gonna go in for it, gonna manage to find one, but it's not solidified yet. They're trading out one after another. Problem is, though, Vortex, though, just doesn't have the members to sustain in this situation and get another pick. The best thing you can do right now is go for the stall eventually, which Midnight is going to have to eventually ice block on here, but they jump out of it instantly instead of holding on, and that's so unfortunate because now Ecliptic has to find something in this situation, needs to maybe try to find this May here as the Bob's going to come online. Another breakneck situation. Alizo is going to manage to find one, needs to find a second right now, and they're finding the shots onto Eagle, getting them super low, and the Bob, excellent wall to be able to deter it as Tom and Eagle pulling this one back little by little. Need to find more picks, though. There is one. Need to find a second. Alizo, the last hope for this team is the May just needs to try to solidify, but there's no May block to work with, no wall, and with that, hoping to find the touch is Elliptic, and these stalls are at least fantastic coming in from Vortex.
Yeah, and it's just going to be this continuous stall. They're going to TP out now, and Knife is focused down. The Blizzard means that the ball can't stay on the point.
Yeah, now it's just Alizo back over on this Tracer. Gonna maybe get one more touch, but that will be it. Fantastic stall, but 140, 1 minute 40 seconds on the clock. Still a very respectable time to get here on King's Row. Fantastic job, but at the very least, we saw a Team Vortex being very willing to change things up and make it work for a considerable amount of time. I mean, they took what is essentially 4 minutes off of that clock.
Yeah, and that's absolutely crucial considering how badly it was going for them heading into point C, but You know, like you said, the adjustments were there. I definitely liked the setup of the Ana Brig, or not the Ana Brig, it was a Kiriko Brig there for a little bit. Just being able to sort of survive and provide things to the backline in that nature. But Noodle Squad again and again, you know, Eagle was finding these opportunities to get in very aggressively on the Reaper, still on this sort of flanking style. Meanwhile, just having Tom with not one but two speed boosts at his beck and call, I mean, that's brutal to deal with. Any Reinhardt would make that look powerful, but Tom's really been putting it on full display here. Vortex, for their initial attack, I would not be surprised to see if they want to try some sort of poke style where they currently have the Widow and the Sojourn highlighted. That being said, you know, opting into a brawl against a squad that's playing this fast, it's going to be difficult. Because the Junker Queen being highlighted, it scares me a little bit.
It scares me a little bit as well. And again, this feels like, I won't say exactly desperation, but that's the realm we're kind of getting into right now. Midnight wants to hopefully find something. Eagle literally put themselves out there to be killed and just barely misses. So I imagine Midnight eventually going to give up on this, likely to head over to that Tracer or the Mei, but they're going to go to the Pharah instead. And Eagle's already down too on top of that. I mean, that's a rough situation. You lose Eagle, you lose the ability to brawl super heavily, and now Midnight and Ecliptic are able to kind of just freely fire away here, but they want to get some bodies on this point, start taking away maybe a tick or two as they hope to get Eagle back in the situation, as they're going to swap instantly over to the Cassidy and Response. But that's a win in itself, Megalas. You managed to get rid of that Reaper, the thing that's been really deterring you from doing everything, and now they need to go in for this retouch, hoping to find something, but a little bit of separation is causing some misfire, and eventually maybe going to get ran down essentially for free, but still 89%, that's not a bad start for them.
No, absolutely not. If they're just going to get some cleanup picks here, it's just going to be a little bit of a reset for Team Vortex. But like you said, they were able to secure the 2 ticks off of that first fight here without really doing much of anything. But there already are adjustments, like you said, Eagle over to the Cassidy, as well as, again, just having both speed boosts. It really creates situations where Ecliptic is sort of left on an island getting run past by this Reinhardt unless they have Shout online to try to help catch up and get through to these fights.
I mean, yep, 100%. And now Tom is going to have a Shatter. When this wall goes down, this is a free Shatter. They might not even worry about it. Ecliptics is just forced into a corner. They're still looking for it, but they're going to throw in that freeze instead. No one's going to survive that situation. Navy eventually going to be forced out. Midnight, Elisa will be very lucky to even stay alive here. Unfortunately, they're just running down the gauntlet that is Noodle Squad, who are just, again, they use one. They don't overinvest in a lot of these situations unless they have to. Just the freeze, and they clean up so easy.
Just the freeze, but on the other side of things, it's going to be a heavy ult fight, firing both ways here. Having the overclock as well as this barrage from the DPS of Vortex is going to be super massive here. Both have high pick potential, being able to burst somebody down quickly. I just worry about Midnight's survivability in that.
Yep, we're going to see the beat being used here, hoping to find something. I love you already to be taken down. Navy gone again. And it, like you said, it was a big investment, but especially over on the side of Vortex, and they're not going to find a whole lot off of it. They get some late picks right now, but they need to find one more kill. It's just Tom and Ecliptic on the point. Tom needs to maybe invest the Shatter or maybe just find a pin here to solidify, and they're going to go for the solo Shatter instead and eliminate Ecliptic, who's trying to survive, getting some heals. It's somehow they managed to stay alive.
I mean, yeah, but that trade in the ult bank is massive. Vortex literally invested everything in the kitchen sink, and meanwhile, Noodle Squad, they just threw in the beat and Shatter. They still have this Deadeye, they still have this Orbital online here, ready to go for these next fights. I mean, for Vortex, that was a massive flopped attack.
They just won it all right there, and I can't fully blame them. And now Ecliptic's in the corner. They're not going to get out of this situation. They take one with them, and Eagle ends up going down, so there's that to work with. But Talos is still alive, and they're going to have this freeze here. And they don't have to double down on that either. They just around the orbital ray, come away with the win. And now 45 seconds on the clock. You have nothing to work with going into this freeze. There's nothing stopping it from just them going on you and just tearing you down.
Well, that's why you almost need to take a quick fight here if you're Vortex. Like, go in, die quickly to this, set somebody like Midnight up for a final touch. Eagle finding that pick, that's actually so massive because now that opportunity is gone. They actually have to wait for all 5, and they're going to have to find a way to just kite this Blizzard. It means that holding onto this speed ring, you can't use it for engage, as well as the Junker Queen shout, because you're both going to need both those escape tools to try to get out of the Blizzard.
Yeah. Provide enough. The freeze is going to come online, hoping to find under somebody. Only manages to get I love you. They will get taken out, but the damage might already be done. Tom taken care of. And finally, in the overtime, Team Vortex is going to get somewhere, but 2.5 minutes, not a lot of time to work with. But the bright side is the ults are starting to get back in their favor.
Knife coming up clutch. Those kunais removing Tiger from the fight. It really left Noodle Squad not realizing what they wanted to do. And so now, you know, they're looking forward into this next set of fights, right? They're able to get the payload unlocked, as well as they're able to make sure there's no arch hold initially here. Forcing the defense back, Noodle Squad has to play this bookstore corner. And they're already losing the control of the high ground, as you're seeing these fire strikes just aimlessly going up, and now having to accept the fact that you have to manually go up there and remove these threats.
Hey, how's it going, Tom? Just forcing me off the high ground. I feel it. Gonna go for the 10, not gonna find anything, but you have forced all the companies away in what was essentially a solo wall on the top. There's no real follow-up damage yet right now. Tiger is gonna get taken care of. Tom, though, has a shadow ready to go, and they're gonna slam it down. Gonna catch onto 2 different members, trying to take care of them. Both of them will go down. But Ecliptic on the other side, still keeping things alive, keeping it rolling. And Tom is in not the best spot right now, I'll say.
No, and Tom is actually staggering themselves pretty brutally right now in the idea that they're going to be able to live, and this is just foolish because now you're going to create a situation where there might even have to be a panic touch from a teammate here that could put you at a disadvantage and might just allow a free capture of point B for Team Vortex.
Yeah, and now we have Eagle over on the Soldier. I don't know how I feel about this situation. This isn't, I don't think this is as strong as a Sojourner or a Cassidy right now. Soldier is fine, but in this situation, they need to focus on getting a touch on the point here. 2 meters is left right now, and we're going to see it come online. Both orbital rays going to come online. Aliso going to double down here in this situation. Want to be able to take this point. Looks like they're going to be able to do so. Just Tom and Tiger on the point. At least no Ajax this time around. Gonna have the beat for the next fight, but 2 minutes on the clock in the situation. Now Team Vortex have an opportunity to finish, and with time at that.
It could be even a similar time, but they're able to get some good momentum rolling through here, coming up towards another Junker Queen rampage. They've been very brutal so far. There's no Kiriko on the other side, remember, so no cleanse or anything to really stop that, except for, you know, again, this sound barrier from Tiger. Yeah. So needs a little bit more of a passive play from the Lucio here, but they've already found out the Queen.
Yeah, Eclipse though is going to stay alive, and is going to go down with it, is going to catch up to 2 members, but Eagle's already putting in work on this Ashe that they swapped over to. They are going to find one, though, getting super low as Tom. Need to solidify, need to get that kill on Tom if you want any hope of winning this fight. Eagle just needs to try to get rid of I Love You. Is going to be able to do that instead, but still decent progress to work with. Ecliptic is just still getting kills out here, but it's not looking like they're going to get out of here alive. What? No way. There it is.
Yeah, that Kiriko cleanse, everybody at home just held their breath. But, and crucially, throughout that, right, even with the rampage in their face, Tiger held the sound barrier, not thinking it was necessary yet. So still having that tool in the bank is massive, considering the fact that Vortex have nothing to going for them right now. The closest is going to be their Kitsune Rush. Meanwhile, Noodle Squad, I mean, with less than a minute for this defense, they have plenty of tools to work with. They just got to make sure not to overinvest.
They don't know. They don't know yet. I don't think they know yet. They don't know. And if they go in too deep, I mean, Tails is just going to go behind, and here they go, hoping to find something. The Shatter gets brought online, too, and it's the combo of the century going to clean things up so quickly. I mean, the bright side for Vortex, they do get a quick reset for this potential final touch, but what a combo there.
Massive combo, again, just not being able to check your corners, not realizing the Venture was in position, ready for that one. It's going to be something that Vortex is going to have to think about later on now, but approaching their final fight, they're now just focused on trying to find a way to get an initial pick.
Yeah, right now, and the thing is, no squad, I don't think they know they need to be faster in the situation, because the moment that Navy does manage to get this ult online, they're going to go, because they don't have a choice elsewise right now. Ecliptic is going to get super low here, still needs some sustain. Navy, though, going to have the ult, but it's not going to be online on time. They need to just use this, try to find a pick in the situation. It's going to come online, but the damage is just too far already. Just the DPS trying to sustain a little bit. Lizo going to be the last one on the point. Great push overall, but not going to be enough. Going to send this one to match point. Noodle Squad, again, just solidifying that they are the more aggressive team and that they're willing to swap if they think something isn't working.
Exactly, and their adjustments are, they're very calculated, very smart, right? They're not just going to switch initially. They're not going to be worried about it. But also, regardless of, which hero they're on, their tactics, right? Tom in the front line demanding so much attention, demanding so much aggression from the other side that there's just no time left to check your angles for these DPS that are constantly lurking, constantly finding value, regardless of what hero they're on. It's a great way to play if you're Noodle Squad, and they're making it work so well.
I mean, yeah, 100%. You saw the instant reaction for Eagle, especially. That fire comes out, they end up getting picked off kind of early. They instantly swap over to that Cassidy. When they realized the Sojourn started putting out a lot of work, you saw them switch over to that Venture as well. Like there's clearly this ability for this team to simply just change things around if something is not working. The bright side is Team Vortex also has that. They swap around to that Queen. Works surprisingly well once they got past that first point. Just, unfortunately, they didn't have that extra time that a team like Noodle Squad had. And unfortunately, maybe that extra minute makes the difference. Maybe they're able to push off of that, but something we will never know. But, I mean, just the aggression from Noodle Squad is just untouched at this point. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. But, something can limit the aggression of Noodle Squad, and it is this little break that we are about to go to here. Like we said, Noodle Squad's on match point, so make sure that you come back on the other side of the break to see if Noodle Squad will lock it up or if Vortex can mount their comeback.
So far, not quite the back and forth affair that they were hoping for. Already on match point here. The squad hoping to finish things out right here in 3-0 fashion, but Team Vortex clearly showing a little bit more fight back on King's Row and hoping to start the sense of a reverse sweep here. Megalas back from our halftime break. And again, we talked about it a little bit about how we wanted teams to kind of go about this. And the thing I kept indicating is that Vortex is just playing a lot slower. And I think at this point, Noodle Squad is going to keep on the aggression, and you have to react properly, especially when this could be your last map of the series.
I mean, absolutely, right? Because you either need to find a way to match that aggression or force them to finally, stand still. They can't just go in every single time because Throne of Anubis, either Clash map, really, thinking about it heading into Clash, it's a very momentum-based game mode, right? If you have some good ultimates after capping a point, chances are you're going to be able to snowball that into some more capture progress, get the second point, and go from there in terms of just, again, being able to build up your momentum. Noodle Squad, they've been executing well on just sort of actually kind of using the patch to their advantage, right? Whole new patch, playing a little bit more aggressive with that Reaper, like I was saying at the top of the series, but also just again, like you were saying, Hunter, the flexibility that they have, they've been able to sort of adapt to what Vortex has been throwing at them. So Vortex has to have another level to hit.
Yeah, 100%. And as Clash has kind of existed now for, it still hasn't been a very long time, but for a little while now, I think the most important thing is team realizing when to back off of a point and when to simply give it up. I mean, you go into a situation, you think about 2 CP, you think about you defending. If that first point really starts like it's going to pull away, you kind of have to make that choice eventually whether to hard invest on the point, very risky situation, or to back out and have a better defense for the second point. And that's what a lot of teams are starting to opt for, is simply saying, hey, we're not going to take the second fight. We're going to set up for the next, give ourselves the advantage. I imagine both teams hopefully have that in the back of their mind as comp's going to come out. Nothing different from Noodle Squad, and Team Vortex, again, baiting the D.Va, which isn't a bad call. It forces, Eagle off of that Reaper, but Eagle made it very clear they're not just a one-trick Reaper. They can play a lot of different heroes.
Hey, listen, I'm never going to object to some Reaper gameplay, but, Noodle Squad, they've been showing us a comp that, people have thought about, but nobody's really actually been willing to run it. Is guys, what if you just combine your speeds and have speed at all times with Juno Lucio? Sure, it's definitely resulted in some times where the team gets a little over aggressive, but at the same time, just having 2 different speed boosts, aka you can time 2 different engages whenever you want, it's got to be a massive plus in terms of building momentum.
Yep, and already we're going to see the Wolf right there from Ecliptic. Going to get forced around to the high ground. Doing a really good job of playing up there, kind of forcing it into a weird space. So right now we have Midnight over on the side on that Pharah. Really just trying to deliver the hit stick on the side. Doing a really good job of delivering some pressure right now. But needs to be able to find a kill here soon because they're sitting at 20 health. If they get even touched, they're going to get taken away. And that will do it right there. 4v4 now online here. Next pick will be very important. As you see right now, Ecliptic going in that back line. Getting a little huff from my lovey right now, trying to hopefully solidify a pick, but nobody wants to go down. And on top of that, no one really too worried about the point right now, as Eagle getting super low. And Megalas at this point, you end up losing Eagle. Yoshiko is sitting at 1 health. They're taking down Team Vortex. I mean, looking like they're going to be able to start out with that first point here on Anubis.
Yeah, and again, just the longer a fight goes on, the better it's going to be for Vortex. Noodle Squad's entire composition is built around playing fast and playing in your face. The longer it goes, the worse it will be for them, as they've already had to make their first sacrifice over to, after some switches, you're going to have the Kiriko in play as well as this Cassidy Venture. But like I was talking about with Clash, this is how you forfeit a lot of momentum here. So Vortex, as long as they don't get picked like that, they should be able to start building towards this point.
Yeah, remember, these spawns are still relatively even, but Tom just going on the aggression, Ecliptic hoping to find somebody. At least OK is not going to get away from that situation. Unfortunately, I don't think I Love You was in the right situation either. Point going to unlock momentarily. I think at this point, Vortex is going to have to give up the point, but or Noodle Squad's got to give up the point, but Vortex got to put themselves on it, start getting some percentage.
Well, no, wait. You had it right the first time. Noodle Squad is capping. Vortex is the one that had to back up, but they're actually coming in for the last second engage with the D.Va touch.
Yeah, but the moment that D.Va gets forced off of here, it's going to be really unfortunate. They're sitting low right now. Midnight has the moment to go in for this barrage. Going to see that shield come out. Shatter, the solo Shatter onto the D.Va, but the remake technically goes through onto Tigers, so this fight is still technically alive right now. Rally going to come online, hoping to solidify, but we're going to see the investment coming through. Alizo's still there on the scene. And now Team Vortex might end up making this 2-0 very early on, but Noodle Squad does have a chance to get back here.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a chance, right? Their spawns are so close, so many of them died, and that group respawn is massive. An overclock investment. That's what that was.
A lot of investment from both of these teams. Ecliptic made it back to the point, and that's fantastic, but I think this is finally at that point where Ecliptic is going to be in a rough situation. Eventually, Ilga gets taken down. DMAC going to come through once again here. Midnight going to back off a little bit, just kind of wait for them to come back, but this is super scrappy from Vortex. I love the way they're trying to play this.
I mean, yeah, they want this point, right? They don't want to have to reset to the middle of the map, and that's the thing about Clash. This is sort of how it was designed in mind, right? You're sort of coming in, you're tapping the point just to trigger. Oh, but the blink doesn't go where Midnight thinks.
Yeah, and now now they have to back off, and now this is rough. Now this is rough because you have to back off. You finally get to the points you need to get to, but that could have been a retouch. That could have been a 2-0, and now Noodle just has a chance to kind of set back up here, especially when you have both of your DPS ultimates. They will likely just try to go super quick on this.
Yeah, it's going to be super crucial for Ecliptic. I was going to say to remove Eagle before the Deadeye gets value.
And now you're screwed. You've already lost 2. Now Team Vortex looking to make it a 2-1 situation here. You're getting forced out of here for your tiles right now. And Tom, you're hoping to find somebody, hoping to at least get some charge. Fortunately, you're going to be taken out. And now you're playing for point D in this situation. And at Vortex, I mean, scrappier than I had originally thought, but they're doing it wonderfully.
Yeah, I mean, coming from all angles and not, being as grouped up is definitely hindering Noodle Squad's playstyle of just running down a target. And meanwhile, you're seeing Ecliptic is able to just find isolated targets.
Yeah, and Taos is in the background, able to get rid of one. We are going to see the bomb get used, but they're not going to live through this bomb. So now, Taos ends up going off the ground for a moment while he went off the side to the stairs, and now we see that counter pin coming through. They need to go on one target together, though, because they're not all shooting the same person. And finally, only one person left to shoot. Tom, trying to survive, pulses online, finds nothing but air, and now Noodle Squad gonna come back, has the members on the point. Retouch, not very realistic for Team Vortex.
It's not very realistic, and unfortunately, Vortex did invest a lot into that. So now Noodle Squad is going to tie this back up at 2 apiece, but heading into the center point, they have an Earth Shatter, a Deadeye, a Sound Bearer, all to work with, and a Kitsune Rush if the fight goes along. So, I mean, realistically, if somehow, some way, Noodle Squad does not win this fight, it's going to be off the back of some heroic plays, probably from Ecliptic, once again, finding an isolated target and removing them from the fight early.
Yeah, and they're going to go for the bounce. They're going to go aggro with the bounce. They're doing the bounce Deadeye. They're going to hope to find something. Nothing getting found, though. Big Deadeye, and unfortunately for Ecliptic, they're going to get caught out. Need to hit the shots, but they eventually will. And now Tom helping clean things up in this situation. Nice little convenient minion in that spot. Nice shot by Eagle. Looking like they're going to be able to clear I Love You off at this point. Looks like they're finally going to be able to take the lead on this point.
Yeah, the Juno trying to live, thinking about a cheeky touch, but unfortunately that is only going to be an afterthought now. Noodle Squad for the first time in the Clash will be taking the lead, only needing 2 more points before they're able to call this one theirs in terms of the series. There's another Sojourn overclock, but already nice gone.
Yeah, right now you're looking at that shatter. You're going to try to find the pin instead. It's going to be able to force Ecliptic into a weird situation back on the high ground. Point, though, gonna unlock soon. Ecliptic needs to find somebody, but they're in a rough situation. And instead, we're gonna see the investment from Elisa, hoping to find something with this overclock. Needs to find at least one here, and that's gonna be Tiger going down here, hopefully finding the second in this situation. Because right now, Tiger no longer can invest that beat. They're still coming back from that spawner momentarily. And so now, with I Love You going down, maybe it has an opportunity to invest, but right now, it's looking like Vortex is just quickly falling out of this fight. But there's the investment that Galas's team just doesn't want to give up.
No, it's just a constant brawl here between these two squads, back and forth, both realizing mistakes, don't want to give up the point in the slightest here, but knife being removed, that means the healer gone. Ecliptic can only do so much.
Yeah, now the bomb's gonna be thrown against the statue, gonna put everyone in a weird spot, lands on there. Gonna buy you a little bit of space to work with, but now this shatter from Tom is going to essentially be free right now. If you manage to find either Elizo or I Love You in that situation, that would be devastating. And right now, Elizo, rough situation, getting forced around right now, hoping to find something, but everyone's saying so expertly separated. Tiger gets caught out, Eagle not gonna be too far behind, and now Taos ends up investing in that fight as well, and it's gonna mean absolutely nothing. And now it's looking like we're gonna go to a 3-3 score here to tie things up.
3-3 absolutely here, again, with heavy investment. But again, we're setting up in a similar situation here. Noodle Squad has tons of ultimates in the center point here. Meanwhile, Vortex, they don't have much of anything, having to throw everything to get this thing into that last point to bring themselves at a massive disadvantage. But that's a good pick to start.
And here's the thing, Noodle Squad have had these fights since, like, before the last fight happened, and now you're not even using these incredible ults that you have at your disposal, so what's the point of even having them in the first place? And now Midnight on the scene, has that pulse bomb ready to go, it's gonna come out, not gonna have any contact in the situation right now. Tom just looking for a place to be able to go for a shatter. In this situation, you might just have to go for some kind of solo shatter where you can find just one person. Deadeye in the background, nice job getting rid of I Love You, and now Ecliptic taken out of that mech, and we are looking at the map point and potentially match point coming up here. 4-3, Noodle Squad hoping to close things out.
They're hoping to close things out, but Vortex is not going to make it easy for them. That Vortex has shown the ability to battle back in this Clash map and make it scrappy. You know, Ecliptic has been doing amazing on this Diva here, but it's a, you know, these trades can't happen for Team Vortex. It's about finding a pick once again, but at the same time keeping their team alive. You know, trading one for one, it's not going to be enough against this Noodle Squad.
Yep, and eventually Noodle Squad is going to have to drop down here. They go for that drop here, hoping to get I Love You. Weird position, but going to be able to survive temporarily. But they're super low, get taken out by Tiles. Now Tiles is going to be able to get scot-free. They're taking out a second, and now it's Ecliptic hoping. The bomb is a miracle, hopefully to find something. Not going to find anything, but is going to manage to get a remake. And for the time being, Navy going to get forced out of there. They need to try to find a target. Tiger and Lip will be having that. And they've had this beat for so long now without investing it. There's finally the shatter being thrown in, hoping to get rid of Ecliptic. Will be able to do so. Navy gonna fall with them, and now it's just down to I Love You and Elizo to try to pull this one back, try to make something happen. But Elizo is the last person to try to invest in this squad, hoping to find something. But it doesn't look. A retouch is coming through here. It's gonna come at the very last second, but unfortunately, recall gonna hit. That will be the 5 points, and that will be the series. Noodle Squad 3-0. But what a fight back from Vortex there on that final map.
I really liked what they were doing. They clearly showed practice on the Diva comps, but again, just a patch a few days ago makes it so instead of being a hard meta you could force everywhere, you have to adapt, you have to learn. And Noodle Squad's adaptations, like, you know, using a jump pad to make your Deadeyes just that much more lethal, ended up being the difference maker here and got Noodle Squad that win. So Vortex back to the drawing boards once again, but hey, it's only week 2. You got time to learn, you got time to adapt.
I mean, yeah, 100%, because obviously there's not just the span of the weeks that we have left, but the fact that that mid-season tournament does exist, and even if you're not in it, that gives you all that free time to not worry about a match. That gives you a couple weeks to just focus on scrims, dial in, and at that same time, that's going to be like roughly like around that time we're going to get the actual season patch coming through. It's one of those situations where you still have an ability to fight back. Being 0-2, it sucks, but it is not the end of the world. You still have an opportunity to get to that postseason. But for Noodle Squad, good for them. Get their first win of the season. They even things back out. They get some momentum. And hey, taking this win today, being 1-1, they're not out of that conversation of getting to that mid-season tournament.
No, absolutely not, especially with how quickly, again, just going off of the patch already, willing to try out new things, as we've seen, right? Lucio Juno comps, the May, the Venture, the Cassidy, all being in the mix for this squad here. That Reinhardt being the ever-pressing threat we saw from Tom, you know, we don't even know how much further that hero pool could go. Could there be more behind the Rhine? It'll take another team trying to push them to the limits to see if that's a thing. But Noodle Squad, I'm sure they're more than happy and content with this win.
I mean, 100%, and obviously that's going to be it for the EU side. But of course, we have some NA action coming for you later tonight. Obviously, the 3-0 from Noodle Squad here against Team Vortex. But again, getting my glasses, we have a big Tar Fan 600 going up against Oomph. Every time I name my team, I just slap my keyboard once, and whatever the result is, that is what I name them. But regardless, it should be a good matchup because, I mean, despite this being a 3-0 today, I think this was generally close, especially if we look at those last 2 maps. So really happy with how today went, Megalas, and honestly, I'm happy we can have Overwatch as much as we do, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest things, CGL 14, just being real. This season, it's bigger and better than ever. I don't just say that lightly. We've got a brand new package, as you see. We've got some increased production capabilities because everybody's just willing to chip in and make this community one of the best out there. for community Overwatch tournaments. And so, hey, all the people behind the scenes are amazing at help keeping this running, and it just means more and more action coming your way.
100%. So thank you guys very much for joining us here today. Make sure to join us later tonight, 8 p.m. EST for some NA action. So we'll catch you there later tonight.